Hello there.
The Night Sisters in Star Wars are a very unique topic, due to them being unlike any other character we've seen in Star Wars. For instance, their magic is unlike anything we've seen before, and with the new Ahsoka show finished, we finally get a deeper dive into what they actually are, and how they're much more powerful than almost any other species in Star Wars. But before we get on to that, we should probably talk about the history of the Night Sisters, starting off with their home world. For the longest time, we thought the Night Sisters originated from Dathomir, but we now know that they actually originated from another galaxy on a planet called Peridea. Now, from what we know about the planet Peridea, it is unlike any other planet we've seen before besides Dathomir. The planet is a place well known for space whales known as the Purrgil go to die. In fact, so many of the Purrgil have died there that there's a ring around the planet completely made up of their bones and remains. And even though we don't know how long the Night Sisters have been on the planet of Peridea, we can estimate that they've been there since the dawn of the galaxy. The planet also seems to have a natural connection to the Force. The reason I think this is because of the statues of the Father, the Daughter, and the Son. We do know that the Night Sisters did worship the Son and the Daughter, or as they refer to them as the Winged Goddess, who is a goddess of growth and fertility, and the Fanged God, who is the god of the hunt and death. We now know that they use the Force differently than how most Force users in the main galaxy used, due to them being from a completely different galaxy. But unlike most Force wielders, they did not view one side of the Force as good or evil, rather as it is all just part of the Force. But now that we got their origins semi out of the way, let's get on to the real reason why you're here, to know who the Night Sisters actually are. The Night Sisters were practitioners of the Force, but unlike the Jedi and the Sith, they use magic instead of the Force. And while we don't know how the Night Sisters arrived into the main star's galaxy, we do know that after they arrived on the planet, they made it their central homeworld. And on this planet, they were the dominant species of the planet, conquering all other life forms on it, including the Rancors and the Zabrak species living on the planet, who were known as the Night Brothers. And at the head of the Night Sisters was known as the Mother. And while the Night Sisters may have lived in seclusion on Dathomir, war would eventually come to them during the Clone Wars, after Count Dooku sent General Grievous to wipe them out after they attempted to kill Dooku. As strong as the Night Sisters might have been, unfortunately the Separatists would be successful in wiping the Night Sisters out with very few survivors. Some of the survivors would be known as Morgan Elsbeth, Asajj Ventress, Mother Talzin in a way, and Jurasa and Deathstick. After this massacre, the great fortress that once belonged to the Night Sisters laid in ruins, until one day Darth Maul came across it and made it his home for a while. Eventually though, a group of rebels known as the Phoenix Squadron would come across this ruin and activate an ancient Night Sister tablet, which released the spirits that attempted to take control over them, but in the end would be destroyed, along with the tablet. But why did they choose Dathomir as the new homeworld? Well, they might have just chosen it because it was in the Outer Rim and far away from any civilizations, but I'm pretty sure they chose it because it had a deep connection to the dark and light side of the Force. It was a Force nexus in a way. The geography of Dathomir is also extremely unique. Unlike most planets, it had more than one biome. It had forests, small oceans, extremely high hills, and deserts. But the Night Sisters also set up settlements on other planets as well, such as Barkana. But why those settlements are abandoned is still unknown. But if we had to guess, it was because eventually the Night Sisters became more secluded and their race slowly began to die out, eventually concealing themselves off to Dathomir. But that is just speculation. There's also multiple clans of Night Sisters on Dathomir, but I do not think any of them are canon anymore. And as I've mentioned before, they were the dominant species of the planet, and the male Zabraks were viewed as lesser and were completely submissive to the Night Sisters, doing anything they wished. Although in Legends, the reason the Night Sisters lived on Dathomir is because of the original Night Sister, a former Jedi known as Alia, was exiled there as punishment, but she would eventually take control of the planet and form a group known as the Night Sisters. Alia would then go on to write a code in which all the Night Sisters would follow, known as the Book of Law. After she died, the Night Sisters would eventually separate into multiple clans, each of them with their own interpretation of the Book and Law. But as I've mentioned, this is only Legends and non-canon. But now let's take an in-depth dive into the mystical abilities that the Night Sisters possessed. It has been confirmed that the Night Sisters do use a form of the Force, but due to them originating from a different galaxy, their use of the Force is much different from the typical Force users of this galaxy. The Night Sisters did, however, use the dark side of the Force in a way, but not in the way many would expect, because the Night Sister did not allow themselves to become slaves to the dark side of the Force like many Sith did, but instead used it to better themselves and each other, having complete control over what they were doing. Some of the abilities that they possessed was creating objects from thin air that they could use. Sometimes they would create weapons and tools. Some of the other abilities that they possessed was using magic to turn invisible. Some users, such as Mother Talzin, used a variation of Force lightning when General Grievous invaded Dathomir. They also reincarnated the dead, created voodoo dolls, enhanced each other, and etc. There also was a possibility that if a Night Sister was strong enough and skilled in the mystical arts, that they could even tame a Rancor. And with the new Ahsoka show, we could see Thrawn transporting what seems to be caskets or other Night Sisters in a deep state of sleep to the planet of Dathomir. If we had to guess what they're doing there, they're probably transporting them to resurrect them, to hopefully bring back the Dathomirian species once again. But we don't really know for sure. All we have right now is speculation. And with that, we have covered all the main points on who and what the Night Sisters are. I can't wait to see how the Night Sisters are going to be used in the future movies and shows. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and comment down below who your favorite Night Sister is. And with that, my fellow Star Wars nerds, may the Force be with you.